Did you give the sirloin steak you had for dinner last night a name? Perhaps you named it Joe or Frank. My guess is this practice never crossed your mind. But for some societies, naming cattle is something done quite often. The pastoral Karamojong of East Africa are so dependent on cattle for subsistence purposes that they also build strong symbolic relationships with them as a consequence. Not only do some people name their cattle, they live with them under the same roof, they sleep beside them, they give them up for sacrifice, and they love them as if they were family. Cattle could be more than just a main source of food. Owning cattle can also result in powerful material relationships. After studying this group of people for another class, I feel as though this subject is important for everyone to know about. To fully understand the Karamojong, you must first understand why cattle is so important to their culture. Cattle are a form of currency to represent wealth and manliness. Just as someone with $1 million bills is seen as wealthy, a man with 1,000 head of cattle is seen as just the same. The more livestock you own, the better potential you have at financially taking care of your family. The manlier you become to spouses, family members, and peers. Livestock is seen as a literal source of money that can be traded for an infinite number of things. A man who has all the resources he needs to adequately provide for his relatives is looked on as a man who is fulfilling the ultimate male role. As the Humanitarian News and Analysis Association reports in a 2010 article about the relationship of cattle and wealth, they say cattle are currency as well as down payments for ceremonies, a savings plan during sickness, and emergency food in lean times. When the cattle dies, so does the wealth. End quote. Just as the number of cattle can show how rich a man is, cattle can show just how revered he is as well. The way a member makes use of his cattle helps him gain prestige within his society. Prestige is a reputation or respect that arises from success, achievement, rank, or other favorable attributes. These attributes also include generosity, which can be highly regarded in certain societies. According to the anthropological textbook People and Baileys, published in 2009, the Karamojong take part in ritual ceremonies in which they sacrifice a cow for consumption by everyone, and the owner of said cow earns a reputation of generosity. Since cattle are seen as currency, the number you have earned, acquired, or given away all determine how others interpret you as a person. Also, since your cattle are like family members to you, you are looked up to for allowing the sacrifice of one of your own. A man that has 100 cattle gained through hard work, inheritance, and rank is looked upon with high prestige by other men wishing to have the same. You can gain prestige and still never be considered wealthy. It's all in the way you make use of what you have. On the other hand, how many cattle you have does influence who you marry and how many wives you have. The number of cattle a member owns has influence over marriage. The more cattle you give away when you take a bride, the more alliances you will have. Also, if you have a significant number of cattle, you are capable of taking more than one wife by paying for others. A dowry, or a gift of cattle, is paid to the family of the bride once the wife has become chosen. As Ronald Johnson of the Karamojong Forum says, the payment of cattle as bride wealth to a girl's kin is an essential step in arranging a marriage. A man is only the genitor, not the father, of children he engenders, unless he transfers cattle in a bride wealth for their mother. Furthermore, the acquisition of an extended range of kinsmen through affinity is almost as significant as the acquisition of a bride and, potentially, a family. In other words, the more cattle a man provides in bride wealth, the more kinsmen he creates who receives a large share of cattle and the larger his range of affinal ties, a very important social asset. End quote. Extensive families are well perceived in the family of the Karamojong, and the more wives you can pay dowry for, the more children you can have. The number in your herd directly influences what kind of wife, of what status you can obtain, which in turn directly affects how the rest of your society views you. As a result of such in-depth use of cattle to the Karamojong of East Africa, they create not only a bond, but a relationship with their herd. Cattle have a monetary value as well as symbolic, and so many aspects of this relationship can be seen outside of mere subsistence. These aspects include wealth, prestige, and influence on wives. The number of cattle you own largely determines your reputation, such as society, and the love you have for them will show your dedication. So next time you sit down to your steak dinner and your glass of milk, think about all the things that cows can do aside from filling your belly.